Hi, this is Alex Designman, and in this video I would like to talk about artificial intelligence and what is the danger of this concept stealing your CAD job or engineering job or any kind of job related to engineering design, CAD design and so on. But first of all, I would like to discuss about artificial intelligence, what this is, where we are at, so then we can understand how this will affect the CAD softwares and engineering jobs in general. Also because there is a lot of misunderstanding and confusion, especially in social media, YouTube. There are a lot of people who talk about AI and they just use it as a buzzword, as a marketing scheme. There are AI influencers now who can teach you how to use AI to be more productive and so on. So I would like to discuss about AI, and also at the same time I'm going to disrupt everything those people say, because I've been working with all this stuff for a long time now and I'm not using anything anymore, and I'm going to explain why. Mostly because it's kind of useless and it didn't help me in my business. So I run a real business, a real design business. I'm not an influencer, I'm not a guru. I just have this small YouTube channel because of the Udemy courses on CATIA V5. So let's go forward. So first of all, let's think about what AI really is. So artificial intelligence is just intelligence like human intelligence, like the human brain, but that was made by us humans. It's an artificial brain. We can say it like that. So it's not a software, it's not an algorithm, it's an artificial brain. It all has to be integrated. Doesn't necessarily need to have like a robot body, but it can have access to systems and all kind of stuff. And the best example, it's in all the movies that we've seen in the past, and that they are still making them better and better, pretty good movies. In there we can see what artificial intelligence really is. So maybe if you've seen a Space-Time Odyssey with HAL, the artificial intelligence computer, maybe you see Terminator. Even her with Joaquin Phoenix is pretty good. Ex Machina, it's a brilliant movie. A lot of stuff in Star Wars, even if it's older, but still pretty good. And Matrix, let's not forget about Matrix, and that's real AI in Matrix. So this is what we refer about when we talk about artificial intelligence. And the problem is that what we have today, it's not artificial intelligence. What we have today is just software, very complex software that it's more complex than what we had in the past. And there are also algorithms which are pure mathematical stuff. So to build algorithms, you need to use stuff that we used to learn in school in mathematics, but probably don't remember if you weren't interested in that. But who has like some kind of university or a PhD in mathematics probably knows everything about how algorithms are built, because you're purely using mathematical stuff. And even if you have something like ChatGPT that I know it seems like it talks to you, but it doesn't have any kind of life. Just that who programmed ChatGPT kind of coded inside it a lot of human psychological stuff, and it mostly coded in there how to deal with information and with questions and stuff like that. And of course, many people can argue that okay, but it doesn't have all the stuff, it has some of the stuff, it has some of that. And the reality is, if you want AI, you need to include all of the stuff that the human brain has. You cannot only have like a small part that only answers questions, because let's be honest, ChatGPT is just a more advanced Google search. It's something that we should have had a long time ago, because I've been seeing in the last years how Google search has become more and more difficult and more useless, because every time you're looking for something, you just find useless results, a lot of ads, a lot of spam, a lot of scammers and so on. So yeah, ChatGPT, it's better than Google, and mainly I kind of use it for that. So let's have a look on what should an artificial intelligence brain contain. So according to psychologists, there are 4 types of intelligence. So I'm not going to read all of this. You can pause and read it, because it's going to be the whole screen full of text. But I'm just going to point a few things just to make a point. So we have the intelligence quotient, let's say, or IQ, or intelligence coefficient, which is kind of the rational intelligence that we all have. Then we have emotional intelligence, which is kind of how to deal with emotions, how do emotions work. There is algorithmic stuff in human emotions if you read some books about it. And I really recommend Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. So he is describing this very, very well. So there is a lot of science in human emotions. And clearly this is what they are taking and trying to put into AI. And also some of it they put in ChatGPT, but not all of it because it got too complex probably. So they didn't have enough processing power. Then we have social intelligence with, again, Daniel Goleman has written a book called Social Intelligence. So that's also a great book to read to see how dynamics between human beings. Again, there are a lot of algorithmic stuff in there, but it's very complex. A lot of concepts about how human beings interact with each other. And there is also the adversity intelligence. So this is a little newer, but it's pretty interesting and good. So adversity intelligence is the capability of a human to go through difficult times, for example. So this is again something that there is no software or algorithm today to have something like this. So even ChatGPT, I've been using it and asking him questions that he was responding wrong and he wasn't learning even months later. I know they all say it's ChatGPT, it's learning, but even months later it was just the same wrong response to pretty technical stuff. So it wasn't opinion or something like that. So, and I have the paid ChatGPT. So I have ChatGPT Plus, which is ChatGPT 4. So again, in here you can read about this stuff. This is something that I took from the internet, from a university website. So there is pretty complex stuff that human intelligence has. So brain is the most complex machine in the world, and we don't even now we don't know how it works. So the bar, it's pretty high. You cannot build something that's under the bar of that the human brain sets and call it intelligence, call it the same as the brain. You need to be at least there. Otherwise, we need to call it something else. And there are a lot of scientists and people who would say this. So AI is the big elephant in the room, the fact that AI does not exist. And I know you don't see that in social media just because, you know, if you have an influencer that has 10,000 comments and everything, I mean, who is going to lose his time to try to convince everyone that this is just a buzzword? Nobody. Especially, I'm not going to do that. So the best thing I do is to not give them my attention and not follow anyone like that, because it's just a loss of time. So you can check all of those AI tools and everything, and if that works for you for your business, that's great. If it doesn't, you need to know that it's just a software, an algorithm that does something. And if you're a copywriter, for example, and use ChatGPT, you're slowly going to lose your ability to write text from your own brain, because if you don't exercise that, you're going to lose it. If you don't exercise an ability or a skill, you're going to lose it if ChatGPT is going to do it for you. And by the way, texts written by ChatGPT, they can be seen from far away, so I can see those immediately. And many people that have worked ChatGPT, they can see those things. Also have, I just recently released a course about how to make your CV, portfolio, and how to prepare for the interview. And I'm also explaining there to never use ChatGPT in your CV because it's just not going to sound genuine. The problem is that there are a lot of influencers and guru out there who are trying to teach people to use ChatGPT to build their CV, and that's a very bad idea. You need to remember that recruiters and hire managers are people that see many people all the time for interview, and they see a lot of CVs, and they are going to see the same stuff everywhere. So if you use ChatGPT, you're probably going to lose. And who uses his own brain, he's going to win. Now, before we go into generative design, which is going to be the actual subject for this video, I want to quickly go to processing power. So I have a degree in electronics, and I worked a lot with transistors and semiconductors and all the stuff you see here on the screen. And the big leap in technology, it has been when the vacuum tubes, which are the first form of semiconductors or transistors, that were doing very good stuff, very cool stuff. So you can study those to see what they did in a YouTube video. I'm not going to make this video any longer. So it was a big step that technology took when we went from vacuum tubes to transistors. So everything we have today, from computers to everything you can think about, to rockets going to space, it was this step that humanity took from this device to those devices here that were intermediate, which are transistors, semiconductors, and then they managed to put those into those. So one of those might have hundreds of those. You can see here how big they were. The vacuum tubes, they got smaller and smaller, yes, but when we went to transistor, it has been a big difference. And then when we had hundreds of those in one of those, it's been even better. And now microchips are another level, but microchips are kind of the limit. So you cannot go smaller than that. You cannot make smaller and smaller transistors. They kind of received a limit which is now somewhere in some factories in Taiwan. And the next step, the next leap in technology is probably when we are going to invent the same thing. Like we went from vacuum tubes to microchips, completely different thing. So we need to invent a completely different thing. We cannot work with microchips anymore. So probably it's going to be quantum computers or atomic computers or something like that. Probably that's when we can think more about real AI. So ChatGPT is 10 years late. We should have this 10 years ago when Google searches start to be worse and worse. It's just a complex software that copies stuff from the internet. This is what ChatGPT does. All AI stuff are just a different level of software combined with algorithms. So there is no AI, it's just a software combined with algorithms, with scripts. They're very complex if you're not a coder, but I know a lot of coders and they are telling me that, look, you just need workforce to build something like that. It's not very, very complex. You just need a pretty big team of people to put that software together. And most of those might do cool stuff. Yeah, they do a lot of cool stuff. If you work with Midjourney, they do interesting stuff. But currently, there is not a lot of business application and it complicates life overall. So it adds many times, not all the times. I have stuff that I use and it's interesting. I still use ChatGPT. But if you go down the rabbit hole of AI stuff, and when I say AI, it is between quotes, you're going to find that most of those tools, add-ons, and so on, they are just complicating your life, and you can just keep it simple with whatever you have or you do now. So I've been trying to integrate this into my businesses, and just it's not needed. It's okay. So that's why when you see somebody keep telling you that no, you can do this, you can don't listen to others, you can integrate this in your business and make a lot of money, you have to think about that. Maybe they want to sell you something, or they just want to get your attention, your likes, and your following, and so on. So those complex algos and software need a lot of processing power. Many of those chips are custom made, like the chips that you use with ChatGPT. And real AI would need processing power that is not available yet as a technology. It might take dozens of years to make the next step from semiconductor like we did from vacuum tubes. So real AI might need a different technology. And you can listen to Michio Kaku when he talks about quantum computers and what those can do and how technology today has reached the limit, and now we are just standing still because we don't have much to do with the available technology. So how are those softwares and algorithms and between quotes AI integrated in CAD software? Well, it has been here for 20 years at least, and it's called generative design. And in this moment there are a lot of videos and photos circulating around the internet, around LinkedIn and other social media with generative shape design creations stating that they were created by AI and it's just new AI software that they create 3D stuff, and that's just not true. They're just lying, because generative design has been existing for years. So PTC has it, Autodesk has it, so they have been developing this in their software. So it needs a lot of human input. It's not like you click a button and it's going to generate something. So yes, you can do stuff like this, which it looks cool, but it's pretty useless. And I'm going to show you immediately why. You need a lot of human input in the software to create a 3D design, something like this. So this looks pretty simple for me. It looks like it does the job. I don't know why you would add something like this, especially with this thin stuff around here that doesn't seem like it has a physical integrity. Like if you hit it with something, probably it's going to break, but try to hit this one with something and break it. It's not going to happen. So you can see stuff like this, and the first thing you can think about when you see something like this, it's okay, I can see how I'm going to build this, but how are you going to build this one? Because there is no technology to build something like this now. So this is metal casting. So you basically create a big cast where you put in molten metal and you build something like this. So who designs this kind of stuff, you know how many rules you have to respect to design something like this, the draft angle and everything. And in something like this is just round everywhere, so you're not going to build a cast to be able to create something like this. So even if you're slightly decreasing the weight, even if you're slightly decreasing the number of parts, it does not matter. The cost of this is going to be huge, and this is going to be weaker. The structural integrity of the material is going to be weaker than this one. You're going to throw this off a cliff is going to be okay. This one, it's not going to be okay. And the stress on the long term, this one is going to break. This one, it's probably never going to break. And I mean it here with the only technology that you can use probably to build something like this, which is 3D printing in metal. Because if you do it out of plastic, again, it's useless, completely useless to build something like this, to 3D print plastic. And also plastic 3D printing, it's problematic and doesn't have structural integrity. Still, inject molding makes the best plastic. So we use 3D printing and additive printing and all kind of stuff in Formula 1, but you will never see a 3D printed part in a Formula 1 car because it's just inferior to all the classic technologies that we have, from forging to casting, inject molding, and sheet metal bending. So if you 3D print something like this, you can make it as a prototype, as an experiment, just to have fun, but mass production, this is never going to happen because it's so expensive and the cost per part is going to be more expensive than this one. So at the end of the day, there is no reason to do something like this. And if you want to learn more about the material of 3D printing metal, I recommend this video from Real Engineering, where it's going to explain with more videos and calculations and explanations why printing 3D metal it's inferior and it's probably not going to work, and there are a lot of problems, and it basically takes metallurgy to zero. So you have to start from scratch with this technology. And in here, for example, it's showing how the laser which goes into the powder metal is just chaotically melting and building the structure of the metal. So when you get at the end, you're going to have a lot of issues inside the atomical structure of the metal. So you're going to have pores and a lot of issues. And the part is not going to have resistance to stress in time like normal metal parts actually do. So if you think about AI stealing your CAD job, or those softwares and complex algorithms stealing your CAD job, it's probably not going to happen in the next 20, maybe even 30 years, because some kind of AI software, it's not going to create parts faster than a human being, because you need the human beings, they still need to discuss with manufacturers about how they are going to do that part, how it's going to make it cheaper, and at the end of the day, the CAD work is still going to be the most simple stuff that we can design. And I don't see how some kind of software algorithm AI stuff is going to make that faster than a human being. And if it does, the human being is still going to be there, as you still have to input data into the software that you find out from the real world. And I know you can argue a lot here. You can say, okay, but what if there is AI to replace you in the meetings and in the real world, and to AI to discuss with the manufacturer, and AI everywhere? You can keep saying that, what if we would have AI everywhere? And you see, here is the problem. If AI would be good now, and if it would be here, and if it would be possible, we would see more important stuff. And in automotive design, for example, a vehicle has thousands of parts, and there are teams of people working to put all of those parts together. And companies don't have even now computers that they can use to open the whole project, for example, like to load into a memory the whole project. You have to open it on parts because it's just going to crash the computer. And I think I've seen just once in a company a computer that can open bigger chunks. So imagine having that and some kind of AI software that is going to connect and verify that and extract information, input information. That company is going to need a lot of processing power to do something like this. And even if you have smaller AIs that they can get together and exchange informations like humans do, well, you need at least one small AI to work, and I haven't seen this until now. We do not see yet something like that. And if you think about it and you put everything together, what you'd need to replace a team of thousands of people working to put together a vehicle, what you need in form of AI and processing power, it would be more complex and more expensive than just have the teams of human beings working, and just the fact that we already know how to do that. So I don't know what the future of AI is going to be, or if we need to build something like this. All I can say is that you just need tools to help you in your work, like just have something like ChatGPT that you can ask and you can get straight answers. Like I was searching just today in ChatGPT about how I can use a certain command in Excel, because I don't know how to use I'm not an expert in Excel, and I don't want to do an Excel course because I don't need it that much. But when I want to do something, it was very difficult with Google searches to find an answer, to find some human being on a forum explaining the exact same thing that I'm asking. And ChatGPT just told me that like in 5 seconds. So I think something like ChatGPT is something that we should have 5 years ago. So I'm not that amazed by ChatGPT. So overall, probably those softwares and algorithms, they are going to just replace nonsense jobs. Or they are going to cut those freelance jobs that you get paid $20 to make them on Fiverr or something like that. So probably you're not going to find stuff like that anymore. But it's not going to be a big danger for anyone. So the conclusion is, when we talk about CAD jobs and engineering jobs, this is far away to be replaced by those softwares and algorithms that everybody calls AI. Because this stuff has been existing for 20 years and nothing happened. First of all, which we have the generative design. You can research this and to see how much was this here. So you see, topology optimization is new. It has been for at least 20 years and has been widely available in common CAD software tools. So it's called topology optimization, and that has evolved into generative design, and now they call it AI design and so on. And also because of the complexity of the work environment in engineering in general. There is going to be a long time until AI is going to exist and is going to build a vehicle or something like that. You can design anything you want on a computer, but you have to think immediately how is that going to be built with the available technology. So this is the first thing. When you see some, between quotes, AI created stuff, you have to think how is that going to be built in reality, and is that better than other stuff. So this is the final conclusion. AI is not going to steal your CAD job because AI does not exist yet. Just that I couldn't just make a video to say that. I had to start from the beginning to slowly explain why I think this fact. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful, and see you in a future video.